I would like to start with my sincere gratitude to the organizers to invite us to this valuable gathering. I'm definitely inspired by my new friends who are working to achieve various sustainable development goals around the world. Today, I would like to present youth engagement works done by UN Environment, and I would introduce fresh starting youth engagement effort by UN country team in Ethiopia. First, I would like to introduce United Nations Environment Program to you. UN Environment is an agency of United Nations to coordinate environmental activities and assist developing countries to implement environmentally sound policies and practices. Our mission is to provide leadership and encourage partnerships in caring for environment by inspiring, informing, and enabling nations and people to improve their quality of life without compromising that of future generations. It was found from the result of United Nations Conference on Human Development, a human environment, also called Stockholm Conference in 1972. We work in 7 sub-programs, which are climate change, disasters and conflicts, ecosystem management, environmental governance, chemicals and wastes, resource efficiency, and environment under review. Half of SDGs directly related to the environment, poverty, health, food and agriculture, water and sanitation, human settlements, energy, climate change, sustainable consumption and production, oceans, and terrestrial ecosystems. But all other are indirectly also linked to the environment. UN Environment has engaged youth in our work in numerous ways. As Peggy mentioned in her presentation, the generation of young people under age 25 is nearly half of the population, which is the largest in our history, and most of them living in developing countries without proper education to think about environment and climate change in their everyday life. However, we are the last generation that can tackle various environmental crises, including climate change issues, before it's too late. The youth will carry out the task towards achieving the SDGs in 13 years, as Professor Sachs said, and the young people, we will need the knowledge, skills, and capacity to deliver our ambition for a better world in everyday actions. Young people, therefore, deserve special attention. They must understand that behind the images and messages that promote overconsumption as a key of happy lives that they are constantly exposed to, there lies increased exploitation of resources, rising poverty, and widening inequalities, all of which will eventually minimize our opportunities for a sustainable future. It is crucial for UN Environment to reach out to youth now through higher education and increase their knowledge and awareness on the impact of their lifestyles and consumption decisions. The programs and projects that UN Environment involve youth will acknowledge youth how these decisions will make impact on environment and climate change so that they understand the importance of changing wasteful consumption patterns into one that they are aligned to sustainable development. I may give you an example of youth engagement within this work versus youth exchange. UN Environment together with UNESCO, we created a UN Environment UNESCO Youth Exchange Initiative to promote sustainable lifestyle among youth through education, capacity building, awareness raising, and dialogue. Themes include green skills, biodiversity, and climate change. Youth exchange publications provide young people, trainers, teachers, and clear, reliable, compelling information on sustainable consumption and lifestyle. At the national, local level, partners conduct training and capacity building activities supported by youth exchange publications, including the training kit on responsible consumption, which is an essential and complete toolkit to teach sustainable lifestyles trained into more than 20 languages, and thematic and regional youth exchange publications. UN Environment in Youth Exchange supports youth projects in sustainable lifestyles more than 45 countries. Another example is a Tunza initiative. UN Environment engaged children and youth in environmental activities by creating a global movement named Tunza, which children and youth can actively participate in the global environment negotiations since 2000 until recently. The initiative was meant to develop activities in the areas of capacity building, again, and environmental awareness, information exchange, with a vision to foster a generation of environmentally conscious citizens capable of positive actions. So over 4,500 children and youth participated annual UN Environment in international conferences, and there were come from over 100 countries. And UN Environment acts actively in an interagency network on youth development too. The UN system recognizes the key role of youth play in the tackling climate change and work closely with the youth-led and youth-focused organizations around the world through the UN Joint Framework Initiative on Children, Youth, Climate Change. In addition, we have a network of youth focal points from each UN organizations who get together on a monthly basis to discuss progress and upcoming events to the youth. We also work with the universities and business schools to provide guidance on curriculums to students with sustainable lifestyle skills and empower them to disseminate further to their school, community, and the city. In addition, we try to connect our projects with youth whenever possible. One example is a recent project in Bogota, where we empower youth as an engine for sustainable urban lifestyles. My work in UN Environment Addis Ababa office is mainly technical support to the Ethiopian environmental-related ministries, but also I have worked part in communication and mostly importantly today, youth engagement works. After my deployment in March this year, I have engaged youth in a number of events. For example, the World Environment Day. World Environment Day is the United Nations' most important day for encouraging worldwide awareness and actions for protection of our environment. And our organization, UN Environment, as a leading agency for environment, we celebrate the day every year, June 5th. This year in Ethiopia, there were 2 World Environment Day celebration events led by 2 different youth organizations, Addis Ababa University and Youth Network on Sustainable Development. Both events engaged a number of young people to raise awareness on the theme of the year, connect people to nature, by presentations and tree planting activities. It was very impressive that many young environment clubs were out there, from elementary school to secondary and university. They had chance to present their work and also presenting their artwork related to environment. I'm actively reaching these youth clubs to provide the materials that UN Environment have developed so far. The other one is UN Youth Task Force and Youth Advisory Board in Ethiopia. In many developing countries like Ethiopia, UN agencies gather to bring one UN goals in the country. The UN country team in Ethiopia is composed of 27 funds and programs, specialized agencies, and other UN entities. Earlier this year, Ethiopian UN country team recognized the seriousness of youth problems in Ethiopia, for example, unemployment, education, gender issues, sustainable consumption pattern, entrepreneurship, and etc. The UN country team decided to establish a youth task force, which is also related to the theme of African Union this year, harnessing demographic dividend through investment in youth. Around 15 UN agencies, including UN Environment, were involved, and we established the Youth Advisory Board and recruited members. Most of the board members represent diverse fields of youth organizations and clubs. Now there are 16 members between 20 to 35 years old, and they will provide their advices to all UN agencies in Ethiopia. Until now, we had a launching event in July. We established terms of reference of the board and held one interactive youth forum on creativity and entrepreneurship. The task force will continue its effort to involve as much as youth in the UN's decision-making process and projects through the board. We are going to set annual theme every year, and I hope one year could be led by UN Environment to promote sustainable consumption among Ethiopian youth, which is the most critical component in SDG 12, ensures sustainable consumption and production patterns. Thanks again to give me an amazing opportunity to introduce our work for you. And since this youth task force and advisory board just started this year, we will definitely do our best to develop further, and I hope we can find some more financial support and network opportunities from outside of Ethiopia. For example, maybe SDSN, we can work together. Okay,
Thank you.